Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker.
After the bathroom, I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pasta.
Oh, I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
Welcome to a brand new episode of Into the Mr. Universe. The show where we go through the multiverse of Arnold Schwarzenegger films or something. The show where we watch Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
Yeah.
And we talk about them. Right? That's what we're doing.
That's correct. That's accurate. That is what show this is.
Yeah. What's your name?
Oh, shit.
Hey.
My name is Raw Deal Ryman.
And I'm Raw Dave.
Raw Dave.
And we just want to take a moment to thank our producer, Norm from Raw Cheers. Raw Norm. Norm from
Raw
Cheers.
Norm
Hey,
Deal.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you for letting us watch the works of Arnold Schwarzenegger, specifically this 1986 movie Raw Deal that I hadn't seen. Had you seen, Tom?
If I had no memory of it.
Yep.
I keep conflating this one with Red Heat is my issue. The Jim Belushi one he did.
Yeah, those are two movies. That's another movie I haven't seen. I don't know if we're covering that. Maybe we already passed it by. I don't know.
But I'm glad we stopped on Raw Deal.
Me too. This is from the director of Ghost Story, the Fred Astaire film. Ghost
Sure.
Story. Yeah, sure is the word. This is... So we're going to go through some sections, right? We have the plot. We're going to talk about the plot. We're going to go into technically not Arnold, which is we talk about him as a performer. Mm-hmm. What makes this Arnold unique? Definitely not Arnold, where we talk about the side characters. The most Arnold, which, oh shit, I don't have anything planned for that. And then we're going to do a random rating system, or rather our regular rating system, I should say.
Our standard rating system, yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Cakes with the word shit on it?
Yeah, how many cakes with the word shit on it were flung at the wall?
Yeah.
How many shit cakes thrown at the wall?
Yeah. So let's talk about the plot, which is this movie's about a bad cop.
This movie is incredible. This movie is about who gives a fuck what his name is.
Yeah.
What is his character's name in this?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't want to
because
look
he's
it up.
undercover most of the time as a different character named I think Joe Bennett, right?
Yeah.
No, Joe Brenner. Joseph Brenner.
Mark
okay.
Kaminsky.
Okay. His actual name is Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a former FBI agent that got thrown off the force because he murdered a man in custody, or he beat him.
No, he beat him nearly to death for being a he says, and this is the hardest line for Arnold to say.
This is
he says,
fucking incredible.
He molested, mutilated, and murdered a little girl. But when he says it, boy, it's a struggle for Arnold to say those.
Mutilated, and murdered a little girl.
Yeah.
What was I supposed to do? Let him keep his legs?
Yeah. Which is fine.
This movie oozes of mid-'80s, we've been coddling criminals. Like, this is such a conservative power fantasy.
But also...
I fucking love it so much.
Yes. It's not just coddling criminals, though, because... So this is about Arnold Schwarzenegger, a renegade cop.
This movie is about how much of a pain in the ass... what is it? The fucking phrase has escaped me. Not civil rights.
But like
just rights.
How
much of a pain in the ass like people having rights are.
Yeah. There's a group of assassins
that
are all dressed due process.
Yeah. How much of a pain in the ass due process is.
There's a group of assassins that are all dressed like the mayor from Jaws. They go out and kill witnesses or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
the beginning of this movie is a lot like the inciting act of Eraser when like James Caan is sending his team to kill all the people in witness protection, and I was like, is Eraser a low-key remake of Raw Deal? It is not, but like the opening scene where a bunch of hitmen assassinate a federal witness in a log cabin is a scene from Eraser.
Yes. He says, so you want to be a witness? Witness this, and shoots him, and I was like, he can't witness that.
I mean, he does though. They shoot. It's kind of a sweet shot. Like,
they shoot him in the mirror, don't they?
They shoot him. It's a shot from behind them. While he's facing the mirror, and you can see them in the mirror. And they shoot him, and the squib comes out the front of his head and shatters the mirror. It's a cool shot.
It is cool. And then we cut to Arnold, set to blasting country music, driving like an asshole, and I was like, oh fuck. He's chasing a cop, but as we learn, it's a man impersonating a cop who he catches by lighting the road on fire.
He sure does. We come to learn that Arnold is the small town sheriff of this community, and I could have just watched that movie.
Yes, absolutely. So he gets pulled back in. He was a New York cop that beat a child molester.
He was an FBI agent. An FBI agent.
Oh. And like they do the thing where they're like, yeah, it's a child molester and he murdered a kid, and it's like, you'd beat him up too, and it's like, yeah, I would, sure.
Right. It's one of those movies where they want the character to have had a checkered past, but they don't want you to be mad at him at all. Yeah. So they create the most irredeemable ghoul for him to have hypothetically beaten up.
Yeah, he beats up a straw man.
Yeah.
And not to say that these people wouldn't exist.
He beats the fuck out of that straw man.
Yeah. But what's funny to me is that as the movie progresses, I realize why he was fired. Because it's like, that clearly isn't the whole story, I don't think, based on what happens. So they're like, you have to go undercover to join this this criminal ring.
Well, hold on. The reason he has to go undercover is because his former mentor at the FBI, Darren McGavin, his adult son is murdered during that witness protection program raid. Like his son was one of the agents there that was supposed to protect that witness. So Darren McGavin is going outside the law to bring Arnold in this undercover operation to infiltrate this crime family that's been carrying out these hits and that killed his son. But only he knows about it. So it's kind of like that Scorsese movie, The Departed.
Yes,
it's like The Departed. Where only Darren McGavin knows that Arnold's secretly a cop.
Right. We also learned his wife is a alcoholic who's very bored with her life. I want to get to her in the not Arnold section.
Yes,
she's wonderful.
She's terrific.
The key thing is he has a wife, and I bring that up because so he's got to go undercover. So naturally, you fake your death. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. So Arnold, you know how when a cop goes undercover, they have to fake their death first.
All right. So already in the opening moments of this film, in the opening 20 minutes of this film, we see the schlubbiest hit squad erase a log cabin full of other schlubby 80s dudes from existence.
Yes.
Then we see Arnold in a pickup truck chase through a lumber mill with a guy on a motorcycle just driving across the stacks of logs and like doing sick jumps and stuff. And then he sets the road on fire to catch him.
The road on fire. And the guy's like, and falls.
Then he comes home and fights with his wife, who throws a shit cake at him. The cake says shit. She throws it at him because she's so pissed at him for losing his job and making them live this
she hates
boring
living
life. Yeah. And then Darren McGavin brings him into the fold. And then we see him fake his death, which is he drives out. He puts in a call. He's the sheriff. So he puts in a call like, there's a disturbance at the old gasoline plant. So he drives out to these two gigantic gasoline tankers and blows them the Christ up.
With his car there.
With his car in there.
And no body.
He doesn't stick like a body in there. But had he done that, I would not have been surprised.
No.
Just the sheer number of offers this movie makes you in its first 20 minutes.
We learn slowly he is a sociopath.
Yeah.
The things he's willing to do while undercover are ghastly. Like, you think that's going to be a conflict? Like, spoilers, he is about to shoot a cop while undercover and only stops because he recognizes the cop.
Only stops because it's Darren McGavin.
Yeah, he is absolutely willing to kill a cop. That's what you mean when you were saying this is like far right. It's like, yeah, but there's also like he's gonna kill a cop. Like it's like he's just committed to. He's just a maniac. And so yeah, he blows up a chemical plant or something, which is really inconvenient way to fake your death. Really costly. And again, I don't think you need to fake your death to go undercover. It never comes into play.
Right, like couldn't he just go on leave or something?
Couldn't he tell his wife, I have a job, it might be good for us, I'm going to go do this job? He just fakes. Why would he do that? He's going to get in so much trouble. His wife, at one point he's like, man, I should probably call my wife.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, your wife had a funeral for you already.
Right, she thinks you exploded.
Yeah, for no reason.
And she already wasn't doing well.
She really wasn't doing well.
She's day drinking and making cakes that say shit on top.
Spoiler, at the very end of this film, he reveals that she's pregnant and he's going to be a father and she's going to be a mother. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, you both are extremely toxic individuals.
Yeah, I feel like you have some issues to work out with each other.
Yeah. So he fakes his death, again, just so he can go undercover. I can't stress that enough.
He fakes his death by, like, crippling the community. He blows up this fuel depot, whatever the actual term for it is. He blows up 2 giant gas tanks.
Why would you do that?
Because you're out of your mind.
So
because you've been given a raw deal, Dave.
Yeah. I guess. So then he goes undercover, which is just slick back his hair.
Right.
He's
slicks
a
back
giant
his hair
Austrian
and puts on
man.
a suit. Yeah. He looks like Frankenstein on vacation.
He's the worst person to go undercover.
Why would you pick him?
Yeah.
He can't go undercover anywhere.
He really can't. He meets a new love interest.
He is instantly the most memorable person in any situation.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter where he is. It doesn't matter if you're not in the criminal underworld at all. If you just spotted him at Lowe's, you'd go home and be like, I saw this huge motherfucker at Lowe's.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. So, yeah, he starts doing jobs for the bad guy, right?
Well, he starts doing things to get the bad guy's attention so that they will hire him.
Right. And then they do.
The bad guy being... Well, one of the bad guys is... Souza, I think?
He's that guy.
The big Coke Baron from Scarface.
Yeah, he's the guy who plays bad guy in everything.
And, his underling is Robert Davey, who you might be thinking of. The Agent Johnson
you're
from Die
right.
Hard.
You're right. I'm thinking of Robert Davey, who is that guy in everything.
Yeah, his hitman is Robert Davey. And Robert Davey's immediately like, I think this guy's a fucking cop. And they're like, Robert Davey, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, he kind of does.
So, I'm sorry. I need to derail for a second. I clicked on Robert Davey's name on Wikipedia.
Uh-huh.
And the first photo they give, like besides his like profile picture, is a picture of him with Michael Shannon and Steven Dorff.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, look at that. What did those guys talk about?
Yes.
Oh, I want a seat at that table. I want a seat at that table.
What are they doing together? Who put them together? Anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger undercover. They go to they go to a drag bar named Kinks, which I gotta say for a movie in 1986, it went pretty good. Like, it's like the scene in that Simpsons episode when it's the future and
where he's like, I must have seen that movie twice.
Yes, that wasn't that
so
bad. Yeah, that's what this was, because it's a gay drag bar, and it was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and it's 86. They're like, shit.
And yeah, exactly. And
this is
you
the
know
most
what?
like conservative movie.
Right. They did it okay.
Yeah, there weren't real. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the type of place Daniel Craig would hang out, apparently. And you read that news?
I did,
You hear this? You hear about this?
You heard this? You heard about this? You seen this raw deal? You heard about this raw deal?
But yeah, it goes okay. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah, it does not make the movie unwatchable.
Yeah, yeah, it does not. Although, you know what made this movie technically unwatchable? It's very foggy. I loved it, actually. That suburban brothel was a very foggy scene.
Yeah.
The golf scene. It was a very foggy movie. And
Yeah,
I don't know. That made me... Yeah. There's also a continuity error. Did you notice when he's smoking a cigar and talking to that lady at on the street? Mm-hmm. In one of the over-the-shoulder shots, he takes a big puff and blows out smoke, and as he's blowing out smoke, they cut back to him, and he is not doing that.
Nope, I didn't notice that, Dave.
Yeah. So he's like hitting on this lady. He's undercover. He's doing work for the bad guys. Mm-hmm. He partakes in an assassination attempt. Or no, sorry, an assassination. What happens is they need to kill this guy, right? They also need to get back the drugs that the cops...
Yeah, so it's like they're at war. It's almost like a Fistful of Dollars. It's like because he doesn't actually play the other side, so it's not at all. But he's with this one gang of bad guys, and they're at war with another gang of bad guys, and also a bunch of these bad guys' dope and money was seized by the cops, so they have to both assassinate this rival gang leader and infiltrate a police station to steal back their money and drugs.
Right, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the undercover agent, is like, yeah, I have no problem helping out with all this.
Yeah, I can participate in that assassination.
Yeah. Oh, did we skip over the department store brawl? I don't think it matters.
I mean, yeah, he fights a bunch of dudes in a department store. He fights a bunch of dudes in an alley, one of which is returning all-star Hall of Fame returning random thug Thomas Rosales Jr. Did you notice?
No, I didn't.
He's one of the thugs that jumps him in the alley.
There's a lot of... For an action movie, this is actually it's dull until it suddenly isn't.
It's about... It's almost like a horror movie. It's like every 10 to 12 minutes, like clockwork, there's either a fight scene or a shootout.
Yes.
It's incredible.
But it's mostly like... It's just wild the things he's committing to while undercover. So they put a bomb in a vending machine
at the police station. Yeah.
Yes. And so they show that the bombs are a threat. The FBI describes it as maybe it's some half-ass pro-life person. And I was like, "Oh, wow. You had that problem then too, huh?" Again, like it's a weirdly conservative film, but then has little things like that. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, I don't know your politics, movie.
Yeah.
It's conservative on crime.
It has a very hardline message of we treat criminals too soft. We're punishing the cops and not the criminals. Like, that's its thesis.
Yeah. So, because then they do a bomb threat and...
Yeah, they plant the bomb in the vending machine so that their subsequent bomb threat to clear out the station will be taken seriously.
They do an Ocean's 11.
Yes.
Where they come in as the bomb squad, and they actually rob them. Meanwhile, they're waiting for a guy to get out so they can assassinate him.
The rival crime boss, who is the Hammer Lemansky.
Yes. They almost assassinate him in a public place, but there's too many people.
It's as he's leaving a synagogue.
Yes,
it's not just a public place. Like, they're parked. It's kind of a funny line because they're parked across the street.
He says like it's maybe a Jewish holiday.
Yeah, they have him teamed up with Robert Davi, who's like the main hitman, and like every chance he gets, Arnold is just dunking on him. So in this scene, they're like parked across the street, and Robert Davi's like, "All right, we just got to assassinate him." But there's like 100 people around him, and Arnold's like, "Do you own a calendar? It might be a Jewish holiday." Yeah. Like, he just can't resist fucking shoving this dude's dick in the dirt.
He really can't. He is terrible at undercover. And what I mean is that, well, I you know what? We'll get to that in the next section. But like, he's not playing it cool.
No, he's not. The first thing he does to get the mobsters' attention, the first thing he does when he goes undercover, if you recall, is he goes to one of their gambling spots, beats the shit out of everybody there, after revealing that the game is rigged, like they're using a magnet on the craps table. Beats the shit out of everybody there, then leaves, gets a tow truck, drives it through the building, with a
Right, like-
huge smile on his face.
It's like the stereotype where it's like, oh, if he pulls your pigtails, that means he likes you. But in this case, it's if he drives a truck into your establishment. Like, I don't know why he thought this was him courting the bad guys.
He wants to get
Like,
their
this is-
attention and show
Yes.
them that he's like for real.
Right, but like, that's the kind of getting their attention that makes them just kill him. Like, that's the wrong kind of attention.
Well, he's trying to show them that their muscle is weak and that he can add to it. Because
Right.
he gives back everything he steals. He's basically clowning Robert Davies that they'll hire him
Right.
instead.
Right,
But yeah,
yeah.
he drives a tow truck through the front of this building they keep cutting to him driving, like in the cab, and he has the goofiest boyish smile on his face. Like, yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, but like
I've
he's
never
gonna
driven
have
a
to,
truck before.
I would have him pay for the damages. You know, if he was like, I want to work for you, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, they might.
You work off the damages, asshole. Anyway, he's an undercover cop in the backseat about to commit like an assassination in front of a synagogue, and I thought like, oh, he sort of encourages them like, no, let's not do it here. So I thought this was going to be the thing where the cop is trying to save a life. You know?
Right, because we see him do it earlier in the drag bar.
Yeah.
Like Robert Davi was going to cut the guy or stab the guy that
And he
owed the
throws
money.
ink in his face.
Right,
he's
and
like, "That's what
instead
you'll
Arnold
look
roughs
like."
him up a little bit and throws makeup
Yeah.
on his face. And it's like, this
But-
is what you look like.
So you think that's the game, and instead they absolutely assassinate this man on the docks, playing chicken and shooting at each other out of the car. It is the worst assassination I've ever seen.
There's a couple of moments in this film that I really appreciate, wherein people just fucking crash into things, and it's a huge
Yeah.
problem. Like they treat, unlike most action movies, particularly the era, this movie treats crashing your car like the serious problem that it is.
Yeah,
It's like they get into chicken with Lemansky, the other crime boss, and he swerves around them, and his driver drives straight towards a tractor trailer and says like, keep your head down, and then they all duck and it rips the car in half, and they drive straight through the back of the building and into a piece of earth moving machinery, and the car just explodes.
yes.
Like his driver they don't even assassinate Lemansky, his driver kills him.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't do shit. Again, worst assassination.
And then
it starts
later-
with them with a sniper rifle, like, careful now, and it ends with them playing fucking
Playing
joust
chicken
with cars.
and Lemansky's dumbass driver is like, watch, hold on, I'm gonna do something cool, and then just
Yeah.
kills them all.
Yeah.
And later on, Arnold goes to this quarry where a bunch of the bad guys are to kill them all, and he does the same thing where he just crashes into something and knocks himself out briefly.
Yes. Yes, he does.
And it's
Yeah.
a real problem because they almost crush him to death between two cars.
We're getting to that because what happens is basically he's the terrible undercover cop.
Yeah.
Bobby Davy, he figures it out. But at the same time, Arnold Schwarzenegger is brought to a funeral, and they're like, we need you to shoot this cop. And as I already said, like, he's like, oh yeah, no problem with that. Lines up his shot, gonna just murder a cop while undercover. I'm pretty sure you can't use the excuse later, like, I was undercover. They'd be like, you shot a cop. He had
Maybe
a
not for
family.
murder,
Yeah.
but
But until this point, I thought like, oh, okay, so he's cleaning up crime. He's killing people undercover in cold blood, but they're criminals. And then they're like, we need you to shoot a cop, and he's like, yeah, I can do that. And it was like, oh, okay, so he's just killing anybody. He lines up his shot, realizes he knows him, and that's the thing that he says to Harry later. He's like, I didn't know it was you. And it's like, oh, so you would have, if it was a stranger, you would have shot that cop.
yeah, you would have just blown this dude away, huh?
Yeah. So he shoots all the people with him. He basically blows his cover, and his cover is blown for him at the same time.
Yeah.
And so he's a bad undercover cop. So what does he do? He goes on a rampage.
Yeah, he just goes on a rampage and kills the rest of the bad guys.
He just says, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't even know why he was doing any of this in the first place. Like, the point of being undercover, right, is to catch the bad guy in the act, right?
Yeah.
Is to get evidence so you can put him in jail. And instead he says, you know what's easier? if I just murder all of them?
If I just kill them all.
And it was like, oh, so this is why you were suspended. Like, he's not going to get out of this a hero. Like, they're just going to super put him in jail, right? Like, the FBI and whatnot, they're just going to, like, he's just going to, I don't know, get punished, but whatever. He puts on the song Satisfaction, breaks his windshield.
Drives through this quarry just shooting people.
Yeah. He gets too many guns, in my opinion, from, like, his hotel or whatever. He gets so many guns.
You know what? It's better to have the gun and not need it, Dave.
Yeah. And then he just starts shooting people from his car like a lazy asshole.
Yeah, and he'll get to the end of the quarry and turn around and drive back through it to shoot them some more.
Again, a rampage. No, like, just a rampage.
And then at some point he crashes headlong into a steam shovel and knocks himself
into
out.
a fucking loader, and then they carry him around. And then he gets out of all that, and I love the hard cut to the news anchor going, "It's not exactly clear what happened here." Yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah. That's when he turns into the Terminator. Literally changes his outfit.
Yeah.
And then it's like a horror movie. They just show all the villains in their swanky lair at their bar.
It becomes John Wick, like, because they're all terrified of him now. They're like, he's coming here, shit. Yeah.
And he's in the security footage. Then he like slides through the vents like a squirrel.
They treat it like aliens for a second. Like, he comes down in the elevator. And he's not in the elevator, like, oh shit, where'd he go? And then they hear him moving around in the vent, and they're all terrified.
Yes.
They hear him moving around in the vent.
It's just a horror film. He's just wiggling around in the vents. And then they don't even put up a fight, really.
No, he just kills them all. And he kills them all
to the point that the main bad guy, the bad guy we've been watching the whole time, calls the cops.
Yeah,
he says, somebody call the cops.
He's screaming to call the police, which again ties it back to the movie's central thesis.
I know.
But Arnold shoots him 7 times in the back with a pump shotgun as he's running away, screaming for someone to call the police to save him.
That is literally how it happened. He would have easily given up. Of course, the idea is like, he'll get, court. Yeah. They won't prosecute him. It's like, yeah, that's why you were going undercover, dipshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the point, is to get evidence so that they can prosecute him. And then you blew your cover and just killed them all. And guess who's going to go to jail, you asshole? They literally, like, somebody called the cops. Arnold, there's the final guy who, what was that guy's deal? He was the informant. He was like
he's like the special prosecutor.
Yeah. Arnold says to him,
who's played by Frank Fontana from Murphy Brown.
Yes. He says, because of you, a lot of people are dead. And it's like, motherfucker, because of you, a lot of people are dead.
Because of you, hundreds of people are dead.
Yeah.
We've seen you kill them.
Then he hands him a gun and says, now it's your turn. And basically tells him to blow his own brains out. Instead, he turns the cop on Arnold, who just shoots him.
Yeah.
He is a bad cop.
Yep.
Then we see Frank having to learn to walk again. Because did Arnold fire that shot that crippled Frank?
That guy's name is Harry.
Harry, sorry. I don't know why I said.
You said Frank is the actor who plays the special prosecutor. I'm not sure the actor's name, but he played a character named Frank Fontana on
Harry,
Murphy Brown.
Did he kill Harry? Or did he cripple Harry?
No,
with that?
Robert Davey and his guys shot Harry.
Got it. And so it ends on him teaching him to walk again, and his encouragement is revealing that his wife is pregnant, and they're going to be parents. And it was like, we literally just saw you kill a man in cold blood while he yelled for the cops.
And you shot him in the back.
And your wife is a nightmare. We never fixed any of that. Mm-hmm. Don't have kids. What the fuck are you doing? And then the movie just ends on that idea. They hug.
Yeah. He's like,
frame.
I want you to be my kid's godfather because, your son is dead.
Yeah.
So.
It's... What a film.
Damn it, I love this movie.
What an amazing film.
It could almost be Commando 2.
Yes, almost.
It is very close to Commando 2.
Yeah. Well, let's get into technically not Arnold and talk about Arnold the character.
Yeah. So Sheriff Mark Kaminsky / Joseph P. Brenner.
Yep. He doesn't even try. This is what's funny about it. When he's undercover, he plays like a smug guy who smokes cigars, and when he's his regular cop, he plays a smug guy who smokes cigars. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is a guy who smokes cigars. So it's like they just give him a flannel shirt, and they're just like, he's an all-American Austrian bodybuilder.
He's not smug when he's the normal.
No, I guess
when
not.
he's Kaminsky, he's not smug. Like he's trying to. We see a lot of. Like he seems to enjoy being a small town sheriff. Like he gets along with his staff. They seem to like him. He seems to enjoy his job. He tries to talk his wife out of the tree. Like he's making like self-deprecating jokes. Like and then he has that scene where Darren McGavin is talking with him, and we learn about what he did to get him demoted from the FBI.
Right.
They're making him as relatable a guy as they can, which is, I think, the first time Arnold's had to try to do that.
No, because we talked about Commando being a way better job at this.
Commando's a way better job of humanizing him.
Yeah.
This movie, like those scenes that I just described, are trying to make him a real person, and I think that's the first time.
Yeah, he's going home. He's cracking open a beer.
Yeah, if we don't count Stay Hungry, this is the first Arnold movie where they're trying to convince us he's an actual person.
Right, but the thing is, they don't really do the work, so it feels like they're putting like a suit on a bear for most of these scenes. Where like, and it's not Arnold's fault. I just don't think they gave him the right.
And he's trying, like he's struggling with the lines a bit, but like his manner is correct. It's just it's so heavy-handed, like the bit about like how evil they had to make this straw man that he beat up. It's like, okay, guys,
yeah, exactly. But the fact that they do that, and then the thing is, it's like they're trying to convince us he's a good guy, and then they show him almost kill a cop later, and it's like, so do you not want us? Like, is it supposed to be his descent into darkness undercover?
That might have been the initial idea.
Yeah, because they don't portray that at all.
Yeah, apparently the original title for this film was Three Identities, or Triple Identity.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what's the third?
FBI agent.
Raw Deal's a better title.
FBI agent, sheriff, and then undercover guy.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah. The idea of him as an FBI agent is very funny to me as well. It's just...
Well, right, because he spends most of the movie as this devil-may-care
he's just
criminal,
a renegade.
Right, who's just maximum chaos and violence all the time.
Then that's the idea. It's like, what was he when they hired him? Like, how did this happen? He lost his fucking mind at some point. So, like... It's
I think
mostly
he's
just
like getting out like years of pent up frustration and anger and rage over being fired from the FBI.
But for the most part, it just feels like this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like this is the most like I'm just being me and I'm just plowing through the movie. Like I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think he cared that much about this movie.
No, I
don't think he's doing that. Like I don't think he's doing as much work as he did in the previous films.
Well, Commando, I think is closer to him just plowing through the movie, although he seems to be... I think
he enjoyed Commando.
He definitely...
I think he's having fun with that one.
For sure, yeah, and it comes across, and he's got a good handle of what his character's supposed to be in Commando, and he's doing it well. This one, I think, was more challenging, because he does have those scenes where he's supposed to just say lines and communicate and be a regular person, a regular earnest human being that in some of these scenes. But then also he has to be like this criminal slime bag who's just full of gumption.
Yeah, here's what it is. He doesn't have that much charisma in this one. His actions are out of control. Mm-hmm. He does unhinged things in every scene. Most of it he's undercover, so he's playing an asshole undercover.
Yeah.
And when he's just the small town cop, he's just kind of a miserable guy.
He's very put upon, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's no point where they really give him any, like, he's just like, he doesn't, like, you don't care. And then at the end, they never give him an underdog situation. He just murders everyone.
Right. They're just terrified of him, and correctly so, because he easily kills them all.
Yeah. And again, he literally turns into the Terminator at the end. He changes his hair, puts on a leather jacket, gets a shotgun, and just plows forward. And it's just like, okay, so we don't care. There's no stakes here. I do like the movie because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's goofy, incredible fun, and I love it.
Yeah, but him as a character, and again, part of it's like, it's funny how the movie this reminded me of a lot was True Lies, because it involves the going undercover, playing kind of a smug guy.
Right,
and you
but
look
his character in that film is consistent.
Exactly. And he has charisma. They do stuff where they have his wife get involved, and then you have those moments that gives him, when he's getting tortured and he's taking the truth serum.
Even like during his action sequences in True Lies, he's consistent to himself. Like, what he's going to do because we know what his character is. In this movie, in Raw Deal, we don't know what the fuck he's going to do on a scene-by-scene basis.
He's a fucking wild card. Yeah. So it's just they add all these character things: the undercover, the wife, his relationship with Harry, and they don't really do anything with any of them.
No, not really.
Nothing interesting. And so it's like, it's in that way, it's like, why do any of it? Like, Commando got it right in that regard, where they're like, he loves his daughter. We have one scene. Look, he loves his daughter. Guess what? They kidnapped his daughter. Now we'll spend the whole movie him going on a rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all we needed. It's all we needed to know, that they had made the biggest mistake of their lives.
Yeah, and this one, it's less clear what he wants in any given scene.
Yes.
His decision to just go on a rampage at the end, I was like, all right. Because it just feels like he blew his cover, got frustrated, and thought, I'll just kill them all. And that's what he does.
It'd be way easier if I just killed them all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad performance. It's more about how his character was written, than how he's doing it, because he's doing what he can.
Yeah,
but that's why I mean is like, I feel like he doesn't give as much of a shit in this movie. He's not. I feel like most scenes it feels like he's just breezing through them, which is weird because it's early in his career, so you'd think he'd. It would matter.
Yeah,
but like,
I think maybe the inconsistency, maybe that would be hard to pull off. So I don't know. Maybe he's just doing the best he can. It's like, I'm not clear why I'm doing any of this, but let's just do it.
Right. So. What it comes down to is this movie is bonkers, but there's a reason we don't remember it, right? Like, there's a reason we never watched it. People don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's not as good as Commando. It's not as it doesn't successfully do what Commando does.
Yeah,
it's the same spirit, but it doesn't nail it the way that Commando did.
No, he has very little puns.
He says almost none, I don't think.
Yeah. That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Let's get into Definitely Not Arnold. This is the best side characters. Again, the assassins that all dress like the mayor from Jaws, they're all in weird tacky suits.
Yeah, they all look like 70s gamblers.
Yeah. Harry's son. That's Harry's son, right?
yeah. Darren McGavin is Harry. Yeah.
The line that they say when he dies is his birthday was in 2 weeks, and
this is an adult man.
Yes, they say it like it's so funny.
Where they're saying it like he 40. Was 6.
Well, they're saying it like only 2 days to retirement. Yeah. Like, that's how I read it, and it was like, what does his birthday have to do? His birthday was soon? Like, people, what does that mean?
Why is that significant? It's like, is he turning double digits? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why are we acting like this is a little boy who or something. I don't know. It's very strange.
It's very strange.
His birthday, like not he was getting married in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
his birthday is in 2 weeks. Like,
one of the many
what?
birthdays
I forget my birthday.
Yeah. That's what I wrote. It's like, I don't think he even knew his birthday was
right.
coming
He
up.
probably didn't know his birthday was in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's not even like his birthday was today.
Yeah.
It's like, no, 2 weeks? That's not even that close. Jesus. I want to talk about the fake cop.
Yeah, the fake cop is just driving around pulling people over to hustle them. He's like, hey, if you give me $50, I won't write you a ticket.
Right.
Not a bad hustle.
Not a bad. If you do like 3 of those a day, you're making good money. But it's a complicated hustle.
It's a bold hustle.
Yeah,
It's
it really
you're gonna
is.
get caught.
Yeah. But I think, and this is my favorite scene of the whole movie, is Amy, his wife. He goes home, and
Yep.
she is getting good and day drunk.
Yeah,
and
she is
baking a cake.
thoroughly in her cups baking a cake.
Yep. He says, "Are we having a party?" And it turns out that she didn't make dinner. She's just making a cake that says shit on it.
Yep, she wrote shit on the top. And then she throws it at his head and it explodes on a cabinet.
Yep. And he says, "You should not drink and bake."
Yep.
She also has a great line where she says something like, "We're going to be here getting fat." And he's like, "We're not fat." And she goes, "You think because we're in shape doesn't mean we're already fat? We're not already fat." And it's her talking about the idea of like, yeah, we're like cattle sitting here. She hates this town. She hates it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just getting really day drunk and again, just baked a cake and got drunk. And that was her day.
Yeah.
And then her husband explodes for all she knows.
Yeah, for all she knows, her husband investigates a mysterious gasoline robbery and explodes.
Yeah. Did you notice that the cop was the is it the cop? The guy in the X-Files episode Space, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Ed Lauder. Yeah. The cop is Ed Lauder.
He says, "What's the P stand for?" Pussy.
I forgot about that line. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Like he corners him, like Arnold gets jumped in the alley by Thomas Rosales Jr.
Yep.
And the thugs run off when Ed Lauder pulls up, and he gasps Arnold for his ID, and he hands it to him, and he's like, "Joseph P. Brenner." Yes. What does the P stand for? And there is a pause. Like Arnold, you see him think about it.
Yeah.
Like he pulls the word and he says, "Pussy." What does that mean?
I don't know, man.
What message are you trying to convey right there?
Yeah. Great middle name, though.
Joseph Pussy Brenner.
And then there's, of course, the villain eating his cottage cheese and drinking his day milk.
Hell yeah.
That
guy's shits must be fascinating.
Yes. The one thing I want to say about him is he is living the life I want to live. And I don't mean like the crime life. Every time we see him, everywhere he is, I want to live. He has this beautiful office with like a slanted window ceiling, and it's like, God, that's so nice.
It's pretty dope.
Beautiful
yeah.
view. His home, his library is fucking great. The bar he hangs out with is cool. Like, no wonder this guy's doing crime. He's having a great time.
Yeah, everything is coming up aces for this guy.
Yeah, until it doesn't.
Until it super doesn't.
Yep.
I like his second in command is Paul Shinar, who is Sosa from Scarface.
Yep.
And he is perpetually frustrated, which I really like. He really conveys middle management.
Yeah, he does. Super
He's
do
just
that.
he's just perpetually frustrated with the off-the-cuff bonkers decisions that his crime boss employer makes. Like when he's like, "We got to break into the police station," he's like, "Are you fucking nuts?"
Yeah. He's like, "Fuck. Okay, I guess."
All right, I guess we do it.
Doesn't seem smart, but all right. We haven't talked about the love interest that isn't the wife, who hangs out with just shitty guys, who he rejects because he's married. And
yeah,
so
this is a weird.
She takes off her dress.
This is a
throws it at him.
Yeah. He takes her out to dinner, and she thinks they're gonna smooch, and he's like, "No, I cannot smooch." And then she gets mad, and takes off her dress that he stole for her in the middle of this restaurant and leaves. This whole plot thread with this character is so bizarre because it's clear that some version of this had her as the romantic interest and that they would get together. But because we introduce the fact that Arnold has a wife, even though the only scene we see her in, she's a nightmare.
Right.
They still don't want to have him screw around on his wife. So they're like, it becomes this very awkward series of scenes between them where he's like, no, I want you as a friend. I care about you, but I have my wife. You know, it's so he like helps her get out of the life, which is nice, but it's like, it's very strange.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's this, and furthermore, the character doesn't have any impact on the story.
Not at all. You can lift her.
You could remove
out.
her from the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird. I do like her line to Robert Davey, who plays Max. She says, "The only way you'll lie down next to me, Max, is if we both got ran over by the same car."
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
That's great.
Yeah, Max, Robert Davey has this through line where he's really trying to fuck this lady.
Yeah,
and he's just being maximum creep about it.
Yeah. So I want to note something before we get into the next section, because I just read this as interesting. Schwarzenegger did this film because he was under contract with the producer. And
yeah,
he did
Dino De Laurentiis, who had done Conan and stuff.
He did it in exchange for dissolving the agreement. So that kind of explains why he might have been a little lukewarm on this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Funny side note: the producer was making this so he could get some cash for another project. He went bankrupt and had to sell the rights to that project, which was called Total Recall. And then Schwarzenegger swooped in and got to be in that. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of explains maybe
Sounds
why
like Dino De Laurentiis got a raw deal.
He did, Tom. That's
Yep.
Yeah. So that explains it, I think, a little bit. Is that this was Arnold being like, all right, I'll do this film and then we're done.
Yeah, this is Prince putting out a greatest hits album and drawing a writing slave on his cheek.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, fine, this is the last record you get.
Yeah. So let's get into the most Arnold. What is the most Arnold moment?
When he drives a tow truck through a building with a huge smile on his face.
That is pretty Arnold.
I cannot overstate this moment.
It is. I just thought of a moment that we haven't talked about that I actually think is going to be my pick.
Uh-huh.
It's the sequence where he's drunk and he's giggly and he's very Hercules in New York. And then a great moment where he passes out and slams his head.
He really does. It cracks against the headboard.
Yeah, that was great. She should have checked if he was breathing.
Yeah. The only reason I wouldn't include that is because I think he's playing possum. Because later on, she's reporting back.
He is. He gets up.
Yeah, he gets up and like because she's.
But honestly, that
supposed to spy on him. But then
that whole
becomes completely.
But that from beginning to end felt like True Lies, like pretending to be a drunk guy. Like it felt very Arnold. Is the point?
It's like the only time. One of the only times in the movie that that they actually do anything with the idea that he's supposed to be undercover.
Yes, and it's the only time he's like being the most likable.
Yeah, he's being funny.
He's just like giggly and drunk. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick that. But yes, him driving the truck into that building is.
And possibly just putting on satisfaction and driving through a quarry shooting people, getting to the end of the quarry, and then turning around and driving back through it to shoot more people.
I would argue that's not like Arnold, because Arnold usually does the legwork.
That's true. He usually gets out of the car.
Yeah. That felt like Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, all right, I'll do this sequence, but I don't want to get out of the car. And they're like, all right, we'll make it work.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to stick with my just gleefully driving this tow truck. Like he's genuinely enjoying himself driving this tow truck.
He really is.
Like he did not expect it to be this much fun when he hatched this plan.
Right. It's like, oh, I should do this every time. I should drive around more often when I kill people. That brings us to our rating, which is you all know our rating system. It's between 40 and 60 shit cakes. How many would you give this?
I would probably give this on a scale of 40 to 60 shit cakes. Shixty, I almost said.
60?
60. I would give it 60 shit cakes.
60, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it about 55.
55 shit cakes. All right.
Yeah, because I do think this has great stuff in it. But as I already said, there's a reason I think this isn't a classic.
Right. It's not one of the essential Arnold movies like Commando or The Running Man.
I would say if it's more like, here's what I'll say. If you're a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, specifically, you honestly probably don't have to watch this movie. If you're a fan of batshit 80s action, absolutely watch this movie. That's more what it is. But Schwarzenegger himself...
I recognize that those two fandoms have a huge overlap.
Yes, they do. Obviously, yes. But Schwarzenegger himself, you could lift him out of this and put Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah,
you could put he doesn't get to do nearly as much.
And I think reviews of the time were specifically comparing this to Cobra, which had come out around the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I certainly don't regret watching this.
No, this movie was a fucking delight. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's a little slow at times, but that's okay.
As soon as it starts to feel slow, a fucking car drives in or somebody starts shooting, people try to jump them, something happens.
Yes, that's true. And again, from the director of 1981's Ghost Story. So that's something.
Yeah, put Arnold in Ghost Story. Can you imagine?
Oh, I can't imagine. That's what we need.
She's fucking dead. Don't go in there. She's a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that it? Is that the episode? Did we? I
think that's it. I think we have completed the episode.
Hey, Norm from Cheers. Thank you so much. Always a delight. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because of course it is.
Giving us an excuse to do this.
What's the next Arnold thing we're going to watch, do you suppose?
Probably The Running Man, right?
Yeah. I don't have his I don't have all his movies in front of me.
All right, let's see. This is 86. I feel like Running Man is 87.
Arnold. I'm going to type in
Arnold. Filmography.
I went on stupid Wikipedia, which is a problem because I'm seeing all this stuff about politics and shit that who gives a fuck.
All right, Predator and The Running Man are 87.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, and Red Heat's still ahead of us. So, yeah, technically I think Predator's next. The Running Man, we're going to have to start making decisions. We got to figure out how many of these podcasts we're doing. Because we don't want it to be too heavy on the front end, you know what I mean? And then suddenly we don't have time to watch,
Jingle
Terminator
All the Way
Genesis.
And Batman and Robin. And
Yeah. We gotta make sure we have this, spread out nicely. It's just these are so delicious. It's such a delicious meaty pile of films in this beginning.
It would be weird to not include Predator and The Running Man.
Yeah,
because those are two essential Arnold movies.
Yeah. We might have to skip Red Heat.
We could probably skip Red Heat.
Yeah, because then we gotta include Twins.
Because then it gets into Twins and Total Recall and Kindergarten Cop and Terminator 2. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's a string of hits. That's a hit parade.
It really is. Last Action Hero, True Lies. Then there's that cluster. Junior. Fuck.
Junior's pretty bad.
Yeah, and Junior, and then Eraser, and things just get better and better after that.
That's it.
Yeah,
it only goes up after that.
It's getting real dark. Yeah. I want us to have we got to pick and choose. I would love to do the film Maggie because that's actually one where Arnold Schwarzenegger acts, and that's an interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is probably the only Arnold Schwarzenegger movie I've seen where he has a fight scene and he struggles. Where it's like he's an old man. He's not an action star. And it's interesting because he's still swole as hell. So it's like, yeah, you could still take that. You could still probably handle it, but it's like one of the few films where they're trying to make him like somewhat frail.
Yeah.
And emotional. So I don't know. I feel like we should cover that one.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. It's not it's not like a perfect film or anything, but for the sake of this podcast, that seems like an option, right?
Yeah.
Anywho, what are we doing?
I think it's time for you to tell them about our Patreon, Dave.
Oh, you're probably right. Hey, we got a Patreon. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there, you can spend $5 a month for 3 exclusive podcasts. That's Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, and Star Trek The Next Futurama. You get all those for $5 a month. That's it. We also have other tiers that you can check out as well. We watch movies every Friday night. We have a tier that where you can produce your own podcast, which is
like this one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what you're listening to right now.
We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com. You can find a link to our Teespring store where you can check out original artwork and designs for all of our shows. So you can get them printed on T-shirts, masks, mugs, posters, stickers, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Yeah, we got a new shirt, although it's not new when you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Fox Mulder punching E.T.
Yep,
yelling,
just
"Where's my
floating
sister?"
an absolute haymaker into that that faith-healing raisin man.
Oh, beautiful.
Right in his face.
Right in his stupid face.
Right in his hideous face.
Yeah.
No. All right.
Shot in the back. E.T. shot in the back. Like, call the cops.
Phone police. And he just shoots him in the back. Just tears him in half with a shotgun.
That's
yeah.
what we need. That's what we need.
It's a real raw deal for E.T. All right, let's be done.
Bye.
Bye.
Australia.